think of the many players within the Federal Department of Justice. They are often seen as the good guys who defend American citizens. They are there to nab and prosecute terrorists who would do harm to our country. When organized crimes threaten our cities and businesses, federal law enforcement agencies, all under the umbrella of the Department of Justice, go to work to break the back of crime. When mega corporations engage in unscrupulous business practices or break antitrust rules, it is the Department of Justice that holds them accountable. But there is a divisive and perplexing issue at play right now, and it is drawing the good guy image of the Department of Justice into a protracted conflict with some citizens and some local government officials. That issue is medical marijuana, and more specifically, the billion-dollar trade surrounding the dispensing of medical marijuana. In 1996, California voters legalized the selling of medical marijuana to the sick under Proposition 215. Now the issue has evolved into a tangled mess where the lines of legality are easily skirted, blatantly abused, or just misinterpreted. This is a world where some at the state level are saying dispensing medical marijuana is legal, and others say it is not. A world where the feds are saying that even if your state says you can sell medical marijuana, we, the feds, may still arrest you, prosecute you, and seize your property. As the temperature was rising in this debate, I got an opportunity to talk to a couple of key players in the marijuana issue. Bishop Ron Allen headed the fight against the legalization of marijuana under Proposition 19 in 2010. And Mr. Benjamin Wagner of the Department of Justice is the chief prosecutor for the United States Eastern District, which covers much of California. Here's some of their thoughts captured in a June 5, 2012 interview.
I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of California. So my role is to enforce federal law in an area that's about half the area of California. So I'm the senior federal law enforcement officer in about a 34-county area in California.
Okay. Dr. Allen, same question.
I am the CEO and president of the International Faith-Based Coalition. We are a grassroots drug prevention organization. I'm in collaboration with about 4,500 faith-based leaders.
Mr. Wagner, can you tell us what's going on with this marijuana controversy across the United States?
Sure. So I'm the prosecutor here in California, and here in California, as you know, there's been a real conflict between federal law, which for years has made it very clear that cultivating and trafficking of marijuana is a serious crime, and state laws, which have become increasingly permissive with respect to the use of marijuana purportedly for medical purposes. So our primary concern as federal law enforcement is to make sure that the trafficking in marijuana doesn't create additional problems nationwide, is public safety problems that are growing up around cultivation of marijuana, money laundering, criminal organizations that are getting involved in marijuana cultivation in California. And that problem is particularly acute here in California. That is crime associated with large commercial manufacturing and trafficking of marijuana. But it's also something which is we're beginning to see in other parts of the country as well, which have a similar situation with a sort of a split between federal and state law.
Okay, thanks. Now, that's at the federal level and certainly the law enforcement side. Dr. Allen, I know that you're on the ground. Tell me what's happening with marijuana and this controversy on the ground in the neighborhoods.
Well, what we're seeing on the ground is an increase in marijuana usage. Number one is because many people think that it's medicine, especially our teen. MedLife Foundation, along with Partners for a Drug.org, came out with a staggering statistics about a month ago that told us that we have an 80% increase in marijuana use among our teens. What we're doing on a grassroots level is really trying to educate individuals of the dangers of marijuana and trying our best to keep it away from our teens and youth.
The media reports that dispensaries have been forced closed by threats and raids from the Department of Justice. Given all of the legal controversy, I wanted to know how the average citizen should look at this issue. This is what Mr. Wagner had to say.
One of the things that we've been very clear about is that the commercial storefront sale of marijuana is not legal under federal law. In fact, it's a crime under federal law, and we have been enforcing that Federal Controlled Substances Act. And there are a number of different ways in which we're doing it. We have prosecuted dispensary owners in a number of places, and we are also using the asset forfeiture laws to seize properties that are being used as marijuana dispensaries. Again, our focus is not so much, our concern is not so much that there may be some genuinely sick people out there that are using marijuana. Our concern is that the proliferation of these marijuana shops is creating all kinds of problems in terms of trafficking of marijuana. Most of these are for-profit operations, that is, marijuana that is bought by these operations is often marked up by 100 or 200%, so they're huge money-making operations, and that means a potential for money laundering, for drawing in organized crime, and also for criminal activity. Marijuana is very lucrative, and in a lot of counties in my district attorneys and sheriffs are very concerned with the violence that has proliferated around marijuana shops, and in particular in the rural parts of the district with the cultivation of marijuana. So there's a lot of aspects to it that are very much of concern to federal prosecutors like myself, and that's why we're really making an effort to enforce federal law.
So here we are. The state is telling citizens it is legal. The feds are saying it is not. I wonder, what is it that the cities and counties are not getting? And why the mixed messages? I wanted to know what was being communicated to local governments.
We often get inquiries from cities and counties who are grappling with this issue. And frankly, I'm sympathetic to their situation because the law is ambiguous on the state side. Some people are telling them it's legal to operate these shops. We're saying it's not legal as a federal matter. Some of them are offering financial rewards for cities and counties who license these shops in the form of taxes or fees or what have you. And I know that a lot of states, a lot of counties, a lot of cities are in extreme financial hardship. But as a matter of federal law, and that's what I'm concerned with, it's plainly illegal to operate for-profit marijuana shops, and it's something that local legislators should be cognizant of. Again, we don't want to get involved in how they're regulating what they're doing, but they don't have the authority to essentially license something in a way that is going to defeat federal law. So I understand they're in a difficult situation, but from our perspective, the line is pretty clear, and we've made it clear that when it comes to large commercial operations that are marketing marijuana to young people, we're going to enforce the federal law regardless of what the states and the cities do.
I agree with absolutely what our U.S. Attorney is saying. What we're looking at is that we're not against Proposition 215, which gives individuals a right to have collectives and to share in what is called medical marijuana. Our major concern is the 98% that don't need the medical cards, and dispensaries that are opening up in the communities that are bringing in the different crimes, such as the robberies of the dispensaries, and allowing anyone with a bad hair day to go in and get a medical card. So we stand firmly with the comments of Mr. Ben Wagner and his office that those that are sick, very sick, and need it, let's make sure that's going on. What we're finding out is that out of the 100%, only 2% actually really need to have what is called medical marijuana. What I think needs to happen is Proposition 215 is broke and it needs to be fixed. If there is some medicine in there, in medical marijuana, I think the FDA should have a say-so in it. And Proposition 215 is for those that are critically ill and dying. Who would get mad at someone for smoking pot if they're dying? No one would get mad or angry. In fact, if that's what's going to make them comfortable, that's fine. But on the flip side of that, we're seeing individuals that really don't need that or just want to smoke pot. And I think we can concur together that that's our major concern.
Any big issues coming up that might turn the tide in this debate? Any landmark issues out there?
Well, that's hard to say. I know that one of the things that we try to do is educate the public a little bit, because there's a lot of discussion that comes from the pro-marijuana industry about sick people and the importance of marijuana as medicine and so forth. And that may, as Bishop Allen said, that may have some place. But one of the things that we see on the law enforcement side, as I mentioned earlier, is armed individuals who are guarding marijuana stashes in houses, in farms, in the countryside. We see violence associated with that. We see a lot of money being made, and we see huge amounts of marijuana that is being grown in California, purportedly for medical purposes, that is being trafficked all over the country and sold for good old-fashioned profit. A very high percentage of the marijuana which is located in car stops all over the country is traced back here to California. A lot of it is being grown as medicine, but it's not being sold as medicine. So one of the things that we're trying to do is just to sort of provide a reality check on some of the discussion. As Bishop Allen said, I'm sure there are people who are legitimately sick that can derive some benefit from it, but it's from my perspective, my issue is going after criminal activity that involves violence, money, interstate transportation, and large commercial enterprises built on marijuana.
Dr. Allen, we'll give you the final word.
I think that, again, I think Proposition 215 is broke. I think we should focus on Prop 215 for those who can benefit from that law of medical marijuana, and let the collectives and the co-ops grow it and trade or do what the law entails them to do, not have the storefronts which is what's causing this crime, and not be for profit. Prop 215 never legitimized storefronts or for-profit organizations. We're saddened, the International Faith-Based Coalition, we're saddened that individuals have taken advantage of Proposition 215, and the 2% that really need it, they can't seem to get it, and so we're having this problem of saying, hey, look, how do we separate the 98% from the 2% and make Proposition 215 work for those who really need it? People are really shocked when I tell them that we're not against Proposition 215, but we are against medical doctors who are just giving out a recommendation for a bad hair day and making money off of the back of the sick. And so, in my conclusion, I would love to see Proposition 215 work and operate the way it is supposed to operate under Proposition 215 law. Make sure that the medical marijuana stores are completely banned, and start over and allow the collectives and the co-ops to operate so that those that are really sick and those that are really ill, we can be a help to them.
With an ambiguous California law that says you can sell medical marijuana, and cities issuing permits to do just that, and a Department of Justice that sees many of these operations as serious law violators, who they intend to prosecute, you can see that this will be a thorny issue for years to come. I thank Chief Prosecutor Benjamin Wagner and Bishop Ron Allen for the opportunity to capture their thoughts on this historic and challenging issue. I thank you for watching our Global Voice Television.